All right. Welcome back. How's everybody doing? Hope you're having a good day. Good to see you, Lorelei, Poyu, Perks. Making sure I'm streaming, I'm live. I had too much I was going to say I had too much time off. No, I had the right amount of time off. Just enough for me to forget how to do everything. Because there's like 6 different things I have to set up for the stream. Last week I forgot to post on the Discord. But otherwise I think I did pretty well. But yeah. Welcome back, everybody. Lorelei, you're relieved after too much stress. You skipped yesterday's lecture because exhausted. And I saw you message in Finnish. You're saying, let's see, on Tuesday. Oh, wait, you're checking the stream? And right as I posted the stream, maybe is what you're saying? Hyvää iltaa kaikille. Kiitos Poyu. Last week you were in a lot of stress. Viime viikko oli stressaava. But yeah. Well, I'm sorry. You wrote 2,500 out of 3,500 words in a single day. That's pretty crazy. And hey, 27. Good to see you too. Welcome back. I haven't had a good 27 dad joke in quite a while. What else is going on in your lives? What's going on in my life? I have continued to play Tales of the Shire. Not every day, not like a lot. There's still a lot more I could keep playing, but I'm just at a point in the game where I'm just like, I'm forcing myself to play it. Like, it starts to feel more like I'm doing homework playing the game than I am actually enjoying the game when I think about it. There's so many frustrating things. But this is also a reflection of my taste in games and also my taste in Lord of the Rings. And the type of adaptation they've done is not one that I particularly enjoy. But I want to give it a fair chance, you know, and just to see. So I've kind of now been forcing myself to play it, but it's also, I think, a frustrating game because it really does make me motion sick. It's the combination of very poor camera controls and very bad frame rates. Like when you're running through the Shire and you're getting only like 14 frames per second, it looks horrible. And it like hurts your eyes a little bit because you're like, I don't know, it causes motion sickness. So yeah, it's not so great. Also, another thing I dislike about this, so the whole point of this game, by the way, is that you're supposed to cook meals for the other hobbits in town, which in theory sounds cute, but as the core mechanic of the game, it's not that interesting, and it's really kind of, I don't know, tedious, where you have to look up who to invite to dinner. And so you have to know what meals you're able to cook. But you don't necessarily know what meals you're able to cook until you look in the kitchen, and you can then see all the meals that are available based on what you have in your pantry. But all the meals that are available are based off of whatever ingredients you have in the pantry, but you don't know how many. So you might have a big list of recipes that you think you can cook, but if you cook one of the recipes and it uses up an ingredient that was needed in another recipe, then you can't actually cook all the recipes, right? And this is a problem because you have to cook the correct recipe for the right hobbit if you invite them over. And I had a scenario where I thought I was going to be able to make food for these 2 hobbits, so I sent them invitations. The next day, it's physically impossible for me to get, I needed rhubarb, and you have to grow the rhubarb, and that takes time, and I couldn't cook anything else. Or actually, I might have been able to cook something else, but the game tricked me, because when you've invited someone to your house and you go to the kitchen and you click cook, usually it shows you all the recipes that are available, but there's a little tab I didn't even see, and it automatically tabs you into the cravings, so that only those specific foods that the hobbits you've invited are in the mood for eating. So that gives you like the maximum whatever friendship points. And I couldn't make those, or I could make only one of them. And I didn't realize I could switch and just make a basic meal just to have something. And so I ended up failing to host the dinner for my hobbits. And the hobbits, they get really pissed if you don't host the dinner for them. And I felt like the game punished me. And for like such a dumb reason. I felt like, I was like, this is not fun if I have to like keep a notepad next to me to keep track of like, okay, how many cucumbers do I have? Wait. And then I'm doing like, I need a spreadsheet that optimizes for what recipes I can do in, simultaneously. Look. And it's frustrating because the next day you might actually get what you need in your garden, but you don't know that. And you have to invite the hobbits over the day before. Look, I'm just saying it's not my cup of tea when it comes to gameplay mechanics, but some people do like it, I'll say that. So that's the update from me. I know, very big and important update. But yeah. But otherwise, I've been going for some runs. I've been running. Yuoksen. Is that how I say I'm running? Yuoksen Polyon. How do I say I have been running a lot? Yuoksin. I've been running a lot. Olen juossut paljon. Look, see, I'm trying to learn some Finnish at least, okay? I do like to treat the stream as just an opportunity to ramble, but we'll mix some Finnish in occasionally. Less than 1 week to get a group of 11 people to make a 40-minute presentation, Lorelei. Wait. A group of 11 people? That's insane. That's way too many people to have in a group. Like, is this for school, I assume, Lorelei? Like, and you're a member of the group, or are you the teacher trying to get the group to do the work? Yeah, Laura, it's clearly not the game for me. But I think there are things about this game that are just bad across the board, right? Like, it's just kind of like, yeah. I don't know. I don't want to go into the game theory of it. I don't hate the game. But I just feel like, I don't feel like I'm in the Shire. I feel like I'm in a very dumb Disney version of the Shire. Like, the hobbits are the dumbest hobbits. And maybe that's the point, that they're trying to be cute. They really tried to make the hobbits cute. And I feel like they killed it. Like, I feel like I'm in a really dystopian Epcot version of the Shire. And like the whole premise, like that Hobbit, or what is it, Bywater, the little town that you live in, is not technically a town or a village, and somehow you have to achieve village status. Of all the constructs they could have invented, this isn't that offensive or like problematic, but it's not fun, right? It doesn't make sense in terms of the Lord of the Rings and the Shire and the culture and the history there. And whatever culture and history that is in the Shire is completely ignored, right? Like, the Hobbit society doesn't exist in this game. You just have, a handful of hobbits running around. That's it. Right? Like, they're just, yeah, and for some people that's enough, but I don't know. And the hobbits are like, oh, we have to make a wolf head. And we have to hang a wolf head over the gate. And but then they're like, oh, but what does a wolf look like? I don't know. Like, it's very childish in a way. That just kind of feels like the hobbits are just really dumb. Like, how are these hobbits alive? Like, they all would have starved. They have no skills and no intelligence. And their personalities are so stylized and overly sweet or overly snarky. They're caricatures of people. And that's the point, I think. It's very intentional that they wanted to create this style of game. But for me, it really it doesn't make me angry. I just want to be clear, but I'm really trying to give it a chance. I'm trying to find the things I enjoy in it. But yeah, okay, Lorelai, you're a member of the group, and yeah, you got to get them all to contribute. But yeah, olen juossut paljon. Okay, so Google Translate is correct here. I've been running a lot. Olen juossut paljon. I mean, not a crazy amount, but it feels good because after in September, then that was when I started to have some pain in one of my ankles, and so I had to take days off or weeks off, and it always sucks when I'm not able to keep my running routine, you know. But it feels good when I'm healthy, so I'm happy for that. A very specific cozy game, it seems. I wouldn't care so much, except it's a Lord of the Rings game. All right. It's also a game I would like to be good, because I love Stardew Valley. And this is supposed to be like the Stardew Valley of the Shire. But it's not, for so many reasons. Also, I mean, and it's, to be fair, the people that made the game, they didn't advertise it as Stardew Valley. They didn't use that. A lot of people have described it this way, just in the general ecosystem. People have hyped it up. And I guess that's another problem with the game, is in Stardew, I feel like I have so much freedom to do whatever I want and to build my farm exactly the way that I want. But in Tales of the Shire, you have very little agency. Like, everything is scripted. And most of what you do is run from one hobbit to the next hobbit on little fetch quests. And they'll be like, oh, go talk to this hobbit and ask them what their favorite food is. And go talk to this other hobbit about their favorite food. And then from all that information, we're going to decide what the official dish is of Bywater. Because in order to achieve village status, we have to have an official dish. Like the real hobbits wouldn't care about any of this nonsense. I like how I'm saying real hobbits, but like the hobbits from the books or even the movies had so much more depth, or I don't know, they just felt so much, they had real character to them. And this game, the gameplay doesn't really give you much freedom. You can't even close your own front door in this game. Also, it makes no sense that like you show up in this town and they literally give you a mansion. And you're just a random hobbit who showed up from Bree. And they're like, oh yeah, you can just take over this very expensive hobbit mansion. That's another thing that kind of frustrates me, is that Hobbit society was very stratified. There were very, very different classes within Hobbit society, and most hobbits were very poor, and they did not live in fancy Bilbo Baggins homes. Like Bag End was like the best home in the Shire, notably, and it was built with the wealth that Bilbo got from his wife, who was one of the daughters of the Took. The Took family is like the wealthiest, most powerful family in the Shire. Like the master of the Took family is the Thane of the Shire, kind of like the king, but not an actual king, but just was like the most important person. And so yeah, they did not represent class struggle. This is also why it feels so Disney-fied, because on the one hand, Tolkien didn't set out to create a social commentary with the Shire per se, right? It's not quite like, he's not really exploring the what is it, the social problems in the Shire, or like the effects of inequality and the unequal distribution of wealth, right? Though it certainly existed in the Shire, he was very clear about that. And most of the hobbits couldn't live in real homes. They had, not real homes, but in the hobbit homes that we think of. They had like brick homes, or they just lived in actual holes, like in pretty not so nice conditions. And that could be something that would be really interesting. Like that could still be a cozy game. I think that's my frustration with this idea of coziness. Coziness doesn't mean the absence of conflict or the absence of strife, right? And I think in Stardew, there's so much more. There's so many different ways to play the game. I'm literally role-playing as a grandma in the game with my own rule set to make a more interesting playthrough. That's impossible in Tales of the Shire. Or if you did do it, it just wouldn't really be all that interesting, because you basically have to play through the game the one way it's set up. You have to go through and talk to the hobbits and do their little fetch quests, and you don't really get to build an economy. Maybe that's another problem that I have, is I like in Stardew, it's like you really feel like the way that you spend your money affects, or the way that you spend your time is sort of like an investment. And so you can feel like that if you get better at the game, it'll be more fun to play. But I don't quite feel like this is a game that the better you get at it, the more fun it is. I don't know. Maybe, I'm sure there are people out there that would disagree. I think that's okay. All right, look, I didn't intend to rant about Tales of the Shire, but I had some thoughts. And yes, 27, the Hobbit lecture is ongoing, okay? We front-loaded the stream today with a Tolkien lecture. So, and hey, DV, welcome in. Legit, the first word you heard after joining the stream was Hobbit. You would think that would mean I'm in a very good mood, in a very good place. If it wasn't for Tales of the Shire destroying... No, just kidding. No, I don't know. I don't hate the game. I don't want to hate. I know a lot of artistry went into making this game. It's not easy to make a game. It's not the Shire game I would make. I would make the Grand Theft Halfling game. I've already talked about the premise for this game, but it would be so much more fun. It would be like Grand Theft Auto, but in the Shire during the rise of Lotho Sackville Baggins and Sharky, aka Saruman, and you basically help the mafia-style authoritarian takeover of the Shire, with the return of the hobbits being an opportunity then for you as the player to change sides and take down Sharky and restore the Shire to its original glory, which would be book accurate and a heck of a lot of fun. All right, I just need to find a way to get several $1 million maybe or more to purchase the rights to adapt The Lord of the Rings as a video game. And probably several more $1 million to hire the people who actually know how to make this type of game. And I will be the creative director. I'll just coordinate and lead everyone. Maybe that should be my calling, but we'll see. If you've got, I don't know, 10 to 20 million euros lying around, hit me up. I'll make a Lord of the Rings game for you. Yeah, Tyler's playing the game he doesn't like. Well, I'm giving it a good shot. It's important to try things even when you don't like them, because you never know. You never know what you might learn. And the game isn't so terrible that that it makes me angry. It's tiring. I play the game, and after an hour, 2 hours, I'm like, man, I'm tired. I feel like I've been doing work Like, I don't feel like I've just been having fun. But that's okay. All right. Let's come back to the news. Pause the music there. And let's watch this. By the way, for the very first time last week, YouTube took down my live stream. Not during the stream while we were watching, but I got a notification later. And it was because there were clips of a football or soccer match. And apparently those clips came from from, I don't know, some organization that licenses those clips. And so I had to trim out the clips. I don't even know if the live stream was reinstated, if you guys can see it. But yeah, and that's never happened. Oh, it has happened once when we watched the Moomins. And that we watched the Moomins on Yle. And we were practicing Finnish, by the way. But yeah, certain things we can't watch without getting in trouble. I mean, fortunately, they just took down the video, or they didn't like, place a copy strike on my channel or anything. But yeah. Okay, hold on a second. Let's first of all take a look at this. Oh, uh, how do you read Finnish? Rauhan suunnitelma. What is that? Rauha is a peace, or it's like, I assume this has to do with the peace negotiation or the peace. This is one of these words, suunnitelma or suunnitella, that always kind of confuses me what it means. I feel like it means to plan. So is it like peace planning? Is that what this word would mean? But something along those lines. Obviously, I think it has to do with like the US, Ukraine, and Russia. And the White House, I think, made I mean, I saw this in the news in English, so I'm getting some hints here, or I'm using context clues. But yeah, the U.S. made a peace proposal, and it was not very well received. Yeah. Wait, Lorelai, were you able to locate part 141? Because there is a point where I had to cut out like 20 seconds of it or something, so it might jump in the middle. And then, what is this? Finnish companies, Suomalais firmat. Well, hold on a second. Why is it Suomalais? And why is it not Suomalainen firma? Suomalaiset firmat. Why is this? Why is there no Suomalaiset firmat? Very sus. Helsingin tuomiokirkko. Ah, that's the Helsinki Duomo. Or what is it? The Helsinki Cathedral is how we call it in English. The White Church in Senate Square. And by the way, I think I've mentioned this before on stream, but one of my favorite words in Finnish is tuomio, because it means it means both Duomo from Italian or Latin. The original Latin word is domus, which means home, and is used in like the, whatever, in Latin and in Catholicism and later churches to refer to your home church, or the sort of the main church in your region, which would be the cathedral, the Duomo. But in Finnish, it's not just Duomo, it also means doom. like Judgment Day. And I love that the head church is also the Church of Doom. Very heavy metal. You wonder why Finland has so many like heavy metal people in it's this obsession would do that. People just got confused. They thought that they were going to church to meet their doom. They had I gave them some tough feelings they had to deal with some heavy rock music. And then yeah, Wednesday weather. All right, I know what I'm going on about. This is a very confusing headline. Okay, 27. You agree? Suomalais, Ruotsalais, Amerikalais. So apparently this is a common thing to do. I mean, I probably have seen this or heard this, but I don't know. You would say that 99% of Finns would parse tuomiokirkko as judgment church. Wait, really, DV? I feel like there must be funny things like this in English where we've taken words from Latin or old, Germanic languages, or, and like change the meaning, right, to be something funny. But so for Finnish people, you guys, you don't know that tuomio comes from duomo or domus, which has nothing to do with doom. In Latin, that's a totally different word. Well, actually, in here, let me see if I can. Is this how you spell it in Old English? Yeah, weird. Weird in Old English, right? Well, I guess in modern English, what means your fate or your destiny? Yeah, particularly in an Anglo-Saxon or Old Norse context. I think that's pretty funny. Um, a weird folk. The counter, oh, this is 1960s counterculture of mysticism and drugs. Huh. But is weird related to weird, meaning strange? I feel like the history of language is so interesting. I really enjoyed studying this in school. I wish I could just get paid to just study. Could I just could I do that? Just, but not like an actual researcher, right? But just get paid to go to class and learn. Yeah, that's obviously there's like, if I that would be the dream. Um, but anyways, well, the etymology, it doesn't. Oh, it does from the Old English weird from meaning fate. Ah, okay. Shakespeare borrowed it in naming the Weird Sisters, originally the Wayward Sisters, the three witches. Man, I need to read some more Shakespeare. It's been so long since I've read Shakespeare or seen Shakespeare. I feel like when you see actors act it out, it makes so much more sense. Even though it's in some ways harder to understand because you don't have the notes in front of you that help translate all these old words or the weird grammar. Um, but yeah, what is it? The senses abnormal, strange, etc., arose via reinterpretation of weird sisters and date from after this reintroduction. So we have Shakespeare to thank for our weirdness. There we go. Indiana Church, or sorry, Indiana Jones and the Church of Doom. The 1% has read the actual etymology. And it's the same in Swedish, Lorelei. The church is judgy. Ah, maybe someone told me that it was the same in Swedish. So it's not uniquely Finnish. I wish it was. I wish it was unique to Finland, and that Finnish people messed this up. It would be. It would be weirder, for lack of a better word, it would be funnier, right? Like, because it's like you're why Sweden is getting the credit here, right? And you guys are just you're messing up, but in a way that's secondary. It's more important that you trip over your own feet. Yeah, it was done in Swedish and then borrowed into Finnish. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting, actually. Well, hold on, let me look this up. In Swedish, meaning a cathedral, dom, right? But hold on a second. The etymology is from domus. which is your house or home. So wait, no, the mistake isn't in Swedish because it doesn't refer to doom. How do you say doom in Swedish? Or is it also a mistake in Swedish? Hold on, let's look it up. Okay, if I type in doom, right, in Finnish, tuomio. In Swedish, it is undergång. More translations. How do you say this? Duma? I don't know. I can't remember how to pronounce Swedish words. Translation copied. Okay, let me see here. Yeah. So the mistake might be a Finnish mistranslation from the Swedish. I mean, yeah, where is the mistake? Because in English, doom and duomo are very similar words, but we don't mistake them. Maybe some English speakers would, right? Like you might think you would hear duomo and think maybe that's the Italian word for doom, the Church of Doom. That would be, but you would have to actually think about it, right? It wouldn't be something that would just be like obvious. And also our words like cathedral like has nothing to do like with domus or doom, right? Um, this is interesting. To sentence, to judge. Related terms. Like doomsday. So that is interesting. Maybe someone could tell me, where did the mistake really happen? Was it a mistake in Swedish? I mean, who's to say what's a mistake or not? Okay, we've gone on too long. A court is a domstol, a doom stool in Swedish. That's actually kind of hilarious because a stool in English can also mean a poop. So you could have a poop of doom. But stool is like a very like medical way of describing poop. If you're talking about poop in terms of like science or medicine, you refer to it as a stool. A stool was sampled and found to contain traces of iridium. The judgment bench. We're learning everything except Finnish right now. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, we'll go full screen. All right, I gotta pay attention. I can do this. Here we go.
Aluksi uutinen Ukraina rauhansuunnitelmasta. Rauhansuunnitelmaa
That's the American Embassy.
Paremmaksi Ukrainalle.
By the way,
Rauhansuunnitelmaa on.
Doesn't this look like the font of the Mission Impossible movie? And it literally says mission. I want to know who decides the fonts for this kind of stuff. And is this standard across all embassies around the world? I know like in Finland, we have an actual font that the foreign ministry uses in all of their like external communication. But I don't know if in the US they do that. But it's look, we just have to be cool, all right? We made Mission Impossible. We're using the font. It reminds me of Avatar and the SNL sketch with Ryan Gosling, and he's like really upset that Avatar used papyrus font for the movie, which isn't actually true, but it does look a lot the same. The mission, like a Christian mission. Yeah, that is interesting. Why is it called a mission of the United States of America? And not just the embassy. There must be some classification. One of my American friends was telling me that there's also a consulate in the same like location, which confuses me. I'm like, if you have an embassy, why do you also have a consulate? I thought consulates were in places where you don't have the embassy. where citizens might still need to visit. Like in the US, there's the Finnish embassy in Washington D.C., and then there are consulates in other cities, so that if you need to visit one, you don't not everyone has to go to Washington D.C. So I don't know. But look, what do I know about consulates and embassies? I'm thinking maybe a mission refers to the combination of both. Then the font is too small. Should be bigger font and 2 lines of text. Yeah, it is. It is also awkwardly framed. We'll have to evaluate it. I'll do a graphic design. What is it?
Muutettu
I don't know.
paremmaksi Ukrainalle. Näin kertoo Britannian media.
Something was reported in
USA ja
British
Ukraina
media.
ovat neuvotelleet rauhansuunnitelmasta Sveitsissä.
Wait. Hold on. The USA and Ukraine have, this means negotiated a peace agreement, maybe? Is that what this means? Some sort of peace agreement in Switzerland. Okay, wait. Maybe I haven't heard this news yet.
Uusi suunnitelma toteuttaa vähemmän Venäjän toiveita.
The new agreement toteuttaa, what? I don't know what that is. Less Russian something. Toiveita. There are too many words in this language that all do this. They all start with like T or K, and they just have a jumble of letters like this, right? It's like, I feel like I'm just playing the lottery with 6 different consonants and vowels, and then you just line them up. I should know these words. Then the earlier agreement. Yeah, I remember reading there was some sort of earlier agreement that was proposed, but then it was criticized. I think also President Stubb criticized it because it basically gave Russia all that it was asking for, and like it was basically like Ukraine would just have to surrender. And so maybe they went back now, because I haven't heard this about Switzerland yet. So maybe that there's a new negotiation here. There was a doctor dictation that said brown stool ambulating in the hall. I had a hard time to get that image from my mind. What? Wait, 27. I don't get this dad joke. I assume this has to be a dad joke, but it's just at such a high level. I'm not dadular enough to achieve it. Hey, Helion, welcome in. Good to see you.
Uudessa suunnitelmassa on 19 kohtaa.
So yeah, in the new agreement are 19 conditions. Kohta, doesn't that mean a condition?
Aiemmassa suunnitelmassa oli 28.
In the earlier agreement, there were 28
kohtaa.
Also, the subtitles help a lot. I do need to practice more without subtitles and just get used to letting the words wash over my brain. Ideally not over the brain, but through the brain, right? Let my brain absorb it.
Rauhansuunnitelmaa on muutettu paremmaksi Ukrainalle.
Okay, so yeah, it's saying that the peace agreement has changed for the better for Ukraine, right?
Erityisen vaikeita asioita ovat mahdolliset alueluovutukset.
And Helion, what did you just turn up for? You're just turned up for the greatest live stream of all time. All right, that's what we do every Tuesday with our Learn Finnish with Me live stream. People don't know how to categorize it, how to classify it. There's there's a lot of good stuff happening here. That's all. We got to hype ourselves up at the very least. And wait, what does this mean? Erityisen vaikeita asioita ovat mahdolliset alueluovutukset. Especially difficult issues are possibly, or wait, what does mahdolliset mean? Why do I think it means possible? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We'll translate this
Siksi
later.
Ukrainan ja USA:n presidentit keskustelevat vielä alueluovutuksista.
So it's saying that's why the Ukrainian and American presidents met still in or from this, whatever this means. I can't remember. I don't know.
Nyt uutinen suomalaisfirmoista Ukrainan jälleenrakentamisessa.
Now for the news of Finnish companies. Well, rakentaa means like to build, right? Like rakentamisessa is like in construction, probably. But jälleen. Some type of construction in Ukraine or of Ukraine. Huh. All right, well, let's see. Maybe we'll get some context.
Suomi on muita Pohjoismaita jäljessä Ukrainan jälleenrakentamisessa.
What? I always forget muita. Does this mean like other? Or among other? I don't know. Not among others. Something about Pohjoismaa, which is a region. Jäljessä. Yeah. I don't know.
Esimerkiksi tanskalainen firma Vestas on toimittanut Ukraina.
Hold on a second. Wait, I'm going sentence by sentence. For example, the Danish company Vestas has worked or made, toimittanut, or produced, I don't know.
Vestas on toimittanut Ukrainaan tuulivoimaloita sadoilla miljoonilla euroilla.
They've produced, these are wind turbines. Tuuli, wind, voima, power. Or they've produced wind turbines for Ukraine for hundreds of millions of euros. Is that probably what it means?
Tanskalaisilla firmoilla on Ukrainassa satoja hankkeita.
Is it the Danish company has hundreds of employees in Ukraine? Is that? Or I guess this is more like personnel, hundreds of workers in Ukraine. I don't know if employee is the right translation of this, but it's like their people are there. Literally, it means again construction. So is it like they're rebuilding Ukraine? Is that like reconstruction? Elion, you wonder if my command of the language will be evident by the vocabulary that was in the news while you studied. Like, you know words for peace process and such, but not for economic success, etc. Yeah, it's like, I studied the Finnish language during an economic downturn, so I don't know very many positive words. Or just studying the news in general. You're going to get a lot more negative stuff, I guess. But yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Lorelai, it's a good point. Pohjoismaat. That means the Nordic countries. why do I feel like there's a place called Pohjoismaa in in Finland and no employees mentioned? Okay, so maybe I'm just totally mistranslating here. I don't know. And hey, Yuha, welcome back. Good to see you. Yeah, it's been a while. I did stream last week, Yuha. So I have been back for a week. But yeah, thank you for understanding while I've been away. It was a really good time to have off. You might benefit from just transcribing the spoken Finnish you hear direct to written Finnish. Wait, why would I benefit? What do you mean, Helion? I don't know if I understand what you mean. Do you mean the spoken Finnish, like not from this program, but the spoken Finnish of like just people talking outside or like on the bus or whatever, or maybe on like TV shows? Pohjanmaa. That's it. Thanks, Poyu. Hanke is what the firm does. Ah, okay. So I guess in this case, I think I got it confused with like hanky, right? Hanky is like like you have your like henkilökortti, right? Doesn't that mean your personal ID card? And like henkilö means like a person, or not henkilö, but there's some other word, right? That means a person. But yeah, so I guess maybe this means like operations, right? Hundreds of operations in Ukraine from wherever, just so that you get more used to hearing the words as themselves without the subtitles. Yeah, that is a good point. I have been meaning to take Finnish more seriously and to really dedicate more time to studying and not just like studying by myself, but like really practicing and speaking. I have thought it would be pretty fun to do a Finnish only challenge where I spend a full day speaking only Finnish. That could be kind of fun, but also incredibly difficult. But I would learn quickly. Sometimes I do that if I'm out on my run, I'll try and think in Finnish, but I'm like, oh, I have no idea. Like, what? How do I translate that? That's Finnish is weird. Yeah, henkilö, henki, life, spirit. Okay, so yeah, see, I got hanke or yeah, hanke confused with hanky. Yeah, and importantly, not constantly translating into English, right? That would be, yeah. You just got to internalize the language.
Suomalaisilla firmoilla on Ukrainassa vain kymmeniä hankkeita.
Um, Finnish companies have in Ukraine only tens of operations. Is that what that means? It is kind of funny in English. We don't say tens. You can have hundreds, you can have dozens, but you can't really have tens of operations. I guess grammatically you can. Like you could say tens of operations, but it sounds weird to me. I don't know why. Like, what if you had 22, right? Because it's not dozens, because you're still less than 2 dozen, but you're more than 2 tens. Lorelai, you mostly think in English, but there are cases of thinking cucumber when looking at something green. What? Did what? How do you think cucumber? What? I'm so confused. That's not a cucumber, is the next thought. What? Like if you see anything that's green, you call it a cucumber in your head. Hanke is an enterprise. Hanky is life or spirit. Honky is a thick layer of snow. What do you mean it's complicated slash difficult? Well, to be fair, those are all distinct words, at least at least they kind of can be, different. The problem with Finnish is then when you try to use the word, it changes and the letters change. And that's when it's like, oh, it's already difficult enough that we have to add an ending to the word. Just knowing which ending to use is just like dark magic. But then also having to change the word or change the letters in the middle. I mean, come on, that is Sauron level of wizardry, sorcery. All right. Finnish only, yes, says Yuha. Every time you've heard me speak, it's really great, for real. Just battle through it Tarzan style. Olin Tarzan. That's me. You might be a bit synesthetic there. Sometimes I am that way too. But wait, Lorelei. Oh, it's with the okay. That's what you mean. You're like you see a cucumber or you see something green and you think of the word cucumber. Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of like that with certain things. I don't know. Sometimes dozens is translated into usi noita, but that is just bad language. Kymmeniä is better in Finnish. So you don't use dozens, you use tens, which arguably makes a lot of sense. Doesn't like if you think of like how many is like 11 dozen? Like, do you know that number off the top of your head? But how much is 1110? 11 tens. That's easy, right? Like, come on.
Suomi on muita Pohjoismaita jäljessä Ukrainan jälleenrakentamisessa.
Yeah.
Ukrainasta tulee firmoille iso vientimaa.
Wait, vientimaa. So it's like from Ukraine are coming two firms, large, I assume this has to do with like deals or payments or like agreements of some kind, contracts.
Kun Ukrainaan saadaan rauha.
When to Ukraine, peace is being gotten.
Elinkeinoelämän keskusliitosta johtaja Petri Vuorio sanoo,
I should know this. We had this word last time, right? Elinkeinoelämä. And I got it confused. I was thinking it had to do with like pensions or retirement, but didn't have to do with employers. There was something last week about the employers organization or employers union, something like this. Right? Or it's like the employers association leader, Petri Vuorio, says that
että Suomelle lisävienti Ukrainaan voi olla jopa 2 miljardia euroa vuodessa.
That lisävienti, additional revenue, maybe, I don't know, or profit, that coming to Finland, or see, I don't know. I want to say to Finland, but in this case, I feel like to Finland would be Suomeen with two E's and an N, not like Suomelle, like by Finland. Like to Ukraine can be around 2 billion euros per year. Elion, you could easily use by the dozens, tusi noittain, but it is far less common and a bit more vague than kymmeniä. Tuonti comes in, vienti goes out. So like your income and your expenses, right? For Finland, so in this case, so is okay, I'm getting confused. because I was thinking about companies that are profiting by rebuilding Ukraine, and that maybe Finnish companies are profiting. But is that not what the story is saying? Because maybe the story is that Finland is giving financial aid to Ukraine to build, to rebuild. If this means expenses, like additional expenses to Ukraine can already be 2 billion euros per year to support them in rebuilding, is that it? I don't know. Or is it like loans?
Suomalaisista firmoista esimerkiksi Peikko Group ja Hesburger ovat jo investoineet Ukrainaan.
They've invest. So okay, in this case it's investments. It's not expenses. So it's like they've loaned the money or they've invested the money in some, I don't know, some capital structure in Ukraine, right? Elinkeino is livelihood. Elinkeino is an organ swing? What? It's trade, not expenses. Okay. Import export. Okay, thank you. You were right when you explained it. I just totally misapplied it to think about a company getting revenue versus expenses. But imports and exports are different. Tuonti and vienti. And I should know this because we've had so many news articles about the tariffs, right? And we've had these words, tuonti, vienti. I know I've learned those before. So yeah.
Lopuksi uutinen Helsingin tuomiokirkosta.
Last piece of news is the Helsinki whatever.
Tuomiokirkon julkisivuremontti on valmistunut.
The whatever restoration has been completed.
Helmikuussa ja nyt se on
It began in February and now is complete.
Kirkon ulkopinnat.
Ulkopinnat, I don't know. The exterior something. By the way, if you're really interested, I wrote an article about, well, among other statues, these statues on the exterior of the church. There's an article on the finland.fi website. You can go check it out. It's like about just search for gargoyles. And I wrote about a bunch of the different statues around Helsinki that you can go see. There is a statue, or more like, I guess, a sculpture of Väinämöinen on one building that I think is one of my favorites because it's kind of hidden away. And it's one of the few visual representations of Väinämöinen in the architecture around Helsinki, who's like the legendary wizard from the Kalevala, the national epic of Finland. But yeah, these are the apostles, the 12 apostles, and they all have their very iconic symbols holding in their hand, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, and these, I guess, yeah, would be important back in the day when people relied a lot more on the symbols, that people that didn't read or whatever. I mean, I'm sure it's not as simple as that people were just illiterate and needed these statues. There's more to it, like in terms of the art and artistry and ideas about how, I don't know, power and spending money and pomp and circumstance or whatever. But also, yeah, the symbols and everything are pretty interesting to study.
Ikkunat ja koristeet kunnostettiin.
The windows and something else. Oh yeah, we should know, who is that? I should know this, but this is a builder's or carpenter's square. So one of the disciples was a builder or carpenter. Well, Jesus was a carpenter, but I forget which one was this. Not one of like the main ones, I don't think. Like there's like Peter, Paul. No, Paul wasn't a disciple. Paul became an apostle or became a disciple later after. But yeah. The Helsinki whatever, the famous landmark. Thank you, Yuha. Exactly. That Oh, I like that, Yuha. The apostle of right angels. That's, that was good. That I wish I had thought of that. Like that's such a good joke. I wish I had come up with it in the moment. Very well done. Um, but also, a lot of the apostles carry around the weapons that were used to murder them. Like, is it Barnabas or one of the apostles was flayed alive, and he carries around the flaying knife and sometimes like his own skin as well. Not all representations are like this, but a lot of them were. And these representations aren't like new. Like these go back, you know, whatever, over 1,000 years. You can find these representations in like mosaics. Um, yeah, in the early Christian era, they were already forming a lot of these, I guess, iconic representations. A carbender or carpenter? I don't know. Maybe a carpenter could bend a car.
Nostettiin. Kirkko maalattiin uudelleen. Nyt tuomiokirkossa
What scene in the Bible is that? Obviously, there's the cross. What angel comes down? What? I actually don't know this. I don't remember an angel coming down and giving a drink to somebody at the foot of the cross after Christ has been taken down from the cross. Or are they taking Christ down now? Is this who was the guy who was like the wealthy guy who helped when because all the disciples like left and there's this one wealthy guy who took care of the body of Jesus at that time when no one else would. And maybe this is like him receiving sustenance from an angel. I don't remember that in the Bible though.
on 3 harmaan sävyä.
And I would know because I grew up reading the Bible a lot. I studied a lot of this.
Väritys on sama, joka kirkossa oli 1970-luvulla.
But I should also say that I wasn't really taught the things I'm talking about now about the history of the church, the iconography, all of this stuff. I got more interested later in college. And actually, it's funny that I mentioned this because I've been reminded of back in high school, I started reading the Dan Brown novels, you know, the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. And reading those books definitely helped spark my interest in art, especially like Christian art and the art of the Western intellectual tradition. Um, and but yeah, it's a really rich history.
Harmaa väri vaalenee vähitellen. Helsingin tuomiokirkon julkisivuremontti on valmistunut. Remontti piti tehdä, koska vanha maali oli kulunut.
I should know all of this. The chalice, is that John? I think this is John. I'm out of practice. But I can tell you that these columns are Corinthian columns because they have the acanthus leaves on them.
Ja koristeet olivat,
Yeah, I can tell you that, hold on.
koska
He's holding a book. So this is almost certainly one of the four whatever authors or apostles associated with the Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Matthew always has an angel. Mark always has a lion. Luke, I think, has the eagle. And John has the chalice? I might be confusing some of these. I don't know. Suddenly this became an architecture lesson instead of a language lesson. Look, I'm just excited that something I happen to know about is on TV, okay? Just imagine, Helion, that I'm saying all of this in Finnish, okay? And you're capable of doing that. You're just translate everything I said into Finnish in your head. Boom, language lesson.
Vanha maali oli kulunut ja koristeet olivat tummuneet. Seuraavan kerran tuomiokirkko maalataan noin 10–15 vuoden kuluttua. Vielä.
All right. Anyways, well, you know what? I'm going to quickly look through some of this. Okay, peace planning. So I did say to plan, but I don't know if I said that compound word exactly like that, but that's the idea there. Ukraine peace plan is changed better for Ukraine. I did get this, or the British media. And yeah, okay. The new plan fulfills fewer of Russia's wishes than the previous plan. Yeah. Oh, wishes, toiveita. That toivo is a hope or a wish. Okay. Oh yeah, I didn't get this. Potential territorial transfers are particularly difficult. Yeah, particularly difficult issues, or among the particularly difficult issues are the potential territory transfers. Like, okay, I don't blame myself for not knowing this. I did see alue does mean like a region, right? So in this case, it can mean territory. Territorial transfers. All right. That's why the presidents of Ukraine and the US are still discussing. Okay, Finnish companies. This one I didn't do so well on, I feel. Although a 10-15 vuoden kuluttua. I didn't quite understand that. Were they talking about the year 1015? Or is that like the next time the next time the church will need to be renewed will be in 1015 years? The Finnish companies in the reconstruction of Ukraine. Finland is lagging behind other Nordic countries in the reconstruction of Ukraine. Okay. Suomi on muita Pohjoismaita jäljessä. Okay. I did not get that. Lagging. Muita. For example, okay, it talked about, the Danish company has supplied wind turbines. Danish companies have hundreds of projects in Ukraine. I got that. Finnish companies only have dozens or tens of projects in Ukraine. Finland is lagging. Good. Yeah, we got that. Ukraine will become a major export country for companies when peace is achieved in Ukraine. So I did kind of get this, right? I forget that tule can mean like to become, not just like is coming to Ukraine, but like, yeah, Ukraine will become, for companies, a large export country. Yeah. When, yeah, peace is achieved for Ukraine or in Ukraine. To Ukraine, kind of how it feels like it's written. By the way, let me put my music back on. I think better with the music, all right? The background music. Yeah, Johannes is John. Oh yeah, Lorelei, that's the Johannes. Which I guess is like the German. I don't know why in English it's just John. All right, and then, yeah, okay, the Confederation of Finnish Industries. We had that last week. He's retiring next year, right? And there's a new leader, johtaja, that was elected. Yeah, it could be up to 2 billion euros per year. Okay. All right, I did okay on that one. Yeah, Helsinki Cathedral. The facade renovation. The julkisivu remontti. The facade renovation. Yeah, we got that. The exterior windows and decorations were renovated. Ulkopinnat, ikkunat ja koristeet. The exterior windows and decorations. The church was repainted. In Finnish, you say that it has been painted again. Uudelleen. But like, does uudelleen, that's different from taas. Uudelleen means like you're doing it again. Does it mean you're doing it again in the same way or in a different way? I think it means in a different way, right? Or maybe the distinction isn't so big with taas. I remember learning there was a distinction there. The ulkopinta is the outside surface. Yeah, the ulkopinnat. Yeah. Nyt tuomiokirkossa on 3 harmaan sävyä. So I did skip some of this. We didn't direct translate all of this. It now has 3 shades of gray. Luckily not 50, but we're not that progressive yet, all right? The Lutheran Church only allows 3 shades of gray. But maybe one day we can hope. I've never read 50 Shades of Grey. I'm not judging it. I haven't read it. I can't judge it. That's a good one. You can tell there is a distinction between uudelleen and taas, but you couldn't put your finger on what it is, Heldion. Well, let me ask, would it be awkward to say taas in this sentence? Kirkko malattiin taas. Would it sound wrong to say it that way? The color scheme is the same as the church had in the 1970s. You know what else had a color scheme in the 1970s that we no longer have, thankfully? The red and gray or orange and gray color scheme of the trams. Maybe if you're old, you remember the trams in Helsinki in the 1970s were not green and yellow, or at least some of the newer trams back then had this whatever orange and gray scheme, but it was changed. A lot. People didn't really like it, but it took a while for them to be changed. They were that. And they were orange and gray to be more in line with the metro. But then they decided, no, we should keep the color separate. So like blue and white is for the buses, with the exception of the orange buses. And then whatever, green and yellow for the trams, and then red or orange for the metro. What is that color? It's like, it's so close to being an orange, but it's maybe a red. I don't know what to describe it as. The gray color gradually lightens. Harmaa väri valenee vähitellen. Valenee. There are words like this that are just beautiful. Valenee. Harmaa väri valenee vähitellen. Like literally, this sounds like Elvish, right? This is what Frodo says to the gray elves. Actually, it would totally work if he said that to the gray elves, right? If he's like, the gray color gradually lightens. And that's like a deep philosophical pondering among the Sindar, right? Harmaa väri valenee vähitellen. But Frodo does say at least one sentence in Elvish. Yeah, he says many in Elvish, but only one of his own power. That's one of those things I really liked in the books. Why does it work on me in Lord of the Rings that in moments of great need, the hobbits are filled. What's the word for this? They speak in tongues with words they don't understand, but those words like have the power of like the file of Galadriel. I think those are really beautiful, like very dramatic moments in the story. They're very, I don't know, they resonate aesthetically with me very much. But yeah, Lorelei just says it would be weird if you put Toss. Never read? Sure, buddy, sure. Wait, me? I don't know who you're referring to with the never read. Oh, the Grey's Anatomy, not Grey's Anatomy, the 50 Shades of Grey. I've never read it. I just listen to the audiobook version every night when I go to sleep, all right? There must be an audiobook version of it, right? Thos sounds like painting the church is easy and could happen rather often. Ah, okay. That's interesting, Polyu. Yeah, Thos would imply more that it had to be done again when the action was just completed the previous time. Ah, that's interesting, Helion. Thank you for that. So yeah, Thos is more kind of like do it again, like soon, like right away. Whereas Udelen doesn't necessarily mean that. And yeah, the renovation had to be done because the old paint had worn off and the decorations had darkened. The next time the cathedral will be painted is in about 10 to 15 years. Okay, yeah, it did not say this in the subtitles. I was confused because I saw the 1015 and I was like, oh, what is that? Like, why would they mention the year 1015? But, yeah, kuluttua. There we go. There we go. We did it. We did the Selko Uutiset. And we went a bit over an hour. Though, to be fair, I did spend the first 15 minutes of stream rambling about Tales of the Shire. A much-needed tangent and diversion. I had some things to get off my chest about this game. I make it sound a lot more dramatic than it needs to be. But... And maybe I'm also just upset because they clearly had very talented artists working on this game, but I don't feel like this game really displays the beauty of their artistry. Like, the graphics just look kind of bad. It just, yeah, when I'm in the game, I don't feel like I'm in a beautiful game. Maybe that's my point. Which is frustrating because when I play Lord of the Rings Online, which is a game from 2007, that game feels beautiful. Even though it has, like, you know, worse graphics than this game, Tales of the Shire. But actually, it looks a lot better because of the textures, the depth, the attention to detail in all of, I don't know, the articles of clothing and the architecture, like all the textures, even though there are very few polygons, right? The buildings look like they have more polygons, or they look like they have more texture because of all the hand painting, basically, that all the artists did that then get put on the, you know, in the game, on the walls or on the characters, on their clothing, their faces even. This game, I talked about this, but Tales of the Shire, the characters just look like creepy dolls. They don't look real. They don't even look good in a cartoon way. Like the characters from Zelda Breath of the Wild, right? They look very stylized in this anime cartoon way. But the characters in Tales of the Shire just look creepy. They look like dolls that came to life and sold their souls to Satan. But yeah. You missed the ramble, Yuha. Hey, you gotta rewind it, replay it. No, I don't know if it's really worth it, to be honest. I just talk a little game theory. And we don't say viva between 10 and 15, but it must be used in the subtitles. It wasn't, and that's the issue here. Ah. So you just say 10? So in Finnish, you would just say noin 10 50 vuoden kuluttua. You would just say the numbers like back to back. 10, 15, whatever years. But yeah, viva. Yeah, we don't write viva, but type the viva. 50 is 50, Tyler. Shut up. Don't call me out. All right. 15. 15, right? Is that, did I get it that time? Yeah, 15. Thank you, Lorelai. Numbers are hard. The numbers are really hard. Yeah, that's just how it is sometimes. We all make mistakes. I just happen to make a lot more. You want to be humbled, try learning Finnish. And try doing it live every Tuesday. And make sure that you practice as little as possible in between live streams so that you're guaranteed. No, that's not true. I do try to practice. And I do want to take the national language exam. I want to get that. I want to get that done. I feel like the sooner I do it, the better, obviously. And because Finland is my home now. Finland is my home. The better I get at Finnish, the more at home I'm going to feel. The more comfortable I will feel. Maybe it will have the opposite effect. Maybe a Finnish person did make this joke to me once, that maybe part of why I enjoy Finland so much is because I don't understand what a lot of Finnish people are saying. And that if I actually understood what they were saying, then I would be more irritated and annoyed by them. Right? Like if you're on the bus or you're in the grocery store, people are talking, you might be like, wow, that person's really dumb, or I don't know. I don't know. So it is funny when I hear people, like especially teenagers, going in and out, adding English words in the middle of sentences. It's weird. Yeah, I need to do more and harder practice. But yeah, actually I have looked into taking some Finnish lessons again, and to do a course that is specifically for preparing for the national language exam. That could be really good. But we'll see. Also, I am going back to the US in a few weeks. Yeah, I will stream next week. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I'm going to stream this Thursday. I'll let you guys know about the Stardew stream. By the way, of course I have. It's ready to go. Yes, I do a role play of Stardew Valley as a granny, and we have a slide deck presentation with lots of granny lore explaining how Granny came about and how all the characters are connected in this web of deep fan fiction. And it is hilarious. All right. This is Granny's husband, the goblin, the henchman who serves the witch, who is her mom. And we have a lot of fun doing this. We also have an appendix now with old slides from previous attempts that failed. But yeah, we do this every Thursday. But this week, I might do this another day, either tomorrow, Wednesday, or Friday. We'll still do a Stardew stream, but I might be busy on Thursday at our normal streaming time, just as a heads up for those of you that are going to tune in for that. But yeah, we do that. And then I'll be back in the US the week after. I probably will not stream 2 weeks from today. That's like December 9th. So I'll be off that week from Finnish, but I am going to try to stream while I'm in the US. But there might be some flexibility there, all right? I might need to take... I do want to take time to see, like, family and friends, you know, the important stuff. But I would... yeah, I'll bring my computer so that I can still stream. I mean, we got to play Stardew at the very least. We got to do the Granny challenge. I should do the Granny challenge with my grandma. I'm actually going to go visit my grandma in Louisiana. But honestly, I think she would be so confused if I tried to play Stardew with her. You know, she would be like, what is this? I think it would be too much, most likely. Especially with the level of, like, lore and complexity that we are applying to the game. It would just be, the barrier to entry is too high, I think, for most people, much less my poor grandma. But she would for sure, like, be interested just for my sake. That'd be so funny. We get a cameo from a real grandma. Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for the encouragement. I appreciate that. I am getting better at learning. Well, I don't know if I'm getting better at learning Finnish, but I am getting better at Finnish. I'm still learning. Learning is ongoing. Yeah, the Finglish. I should do a vlog in Louisiana. Oh man. I am going to be curious about, I'm not going to be there for very long, but I'm kind of curious about what vegan food will be available in Louisiana. I need to look this up to see, like, yeah, what, because I feel like Louisiana is probably not going to have a lot of vegan stuff. I'm sure in New Orleans they would, but I'm not going to be in New Orleans. I'm going to be in, like, a small town. But you never know. You never know. You might be surprised. Yeah. And yeah, I'll be in Texas as well. I'll be mostly in Texas. And Poyu, you're saying, I understand about half of the sentences quite fast nowadays. Okay, thank you. I am getting better. Thank you. Yeah, I do. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. My weaknesses are in many ways outside of selko-uutiset, right? My weakness is going to the grocery store and not being able to say the most basic things. Or if someone says something to me, I won't understand if it's not obvious, like using a very specific word, or if it's saying it in a different way, I'll be like, wait, what? Those are things that I need to practice more, like more practical Finnish. Because also that's tested for in the national language exam, right? So, but obviously doing selko-uutiset is still good practice. Lots of good vocabulary and reading comprehension improving. Yeah, the Deep South is famous for its vegan options, right? Hey, well, technically, a deep fried Oreo is vegan or could be vegan, right? As long as you're frying it in vegetable oil and not animal fat. That's one of those weird things in McDonald's in the United States. Unlike in Europe, they make their French fries in animal fat. Not a fan of that. I don't know if they still do this. I think they still do this. But yeah. No, we don't do that over here. We use vegetable oil like a civilized country. No. But yeah, I don't know, deep fried Oreos could for sure be vegan. I could get some of those at the state fair or something. But yeah. All right, guys. We have now gone an hour and a half. I usually try to keep this to an hour. So you got a little bonus time with me. Talking about Tales of the Shire. my talking about my very niche interests. But that's what live streaming is good for. At least it's good for me. I don't know if it's good for you, but if you're watching it, then you know you're here for it. We're all in this together. We're like a family. All right, guys. Have a good rest of your week. And yeah, I hope to see you in a live stream for Stardew if you're interested. But if not, I will be back next Tuesday, same time, 7 p.m. Finland time. We do this thing. And I'll keep you updated about what my schedule will be like when I'm in Texas/Louisiana. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Helion27, Poyu, Lorelei, Yuha, DV, and others. If I missed, I think Perks and Passports was here earlier too. JF, I saw you in chat. Good to have everybody. Good to see you all again. And yeah, have a good rest of your week. Goodbye.